Hi people, how you all doing? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. It's Sandra here and I'm back again with another video that is probably going to be very exciting. So this says feminists get destroyed after learning toxic masculinity isn't real. Okay, so that's actually a very funny title, but I'm going to be getting into this today. Put up your buckles people and let's hop right into the video.
Thing.
Oh Lord. Oh.
I
He wants
well,
to
let
get
me
into debates right now.
It's too late.
let me
get into this.
let me no, we can get into it. Let me qualify my statement a bit here. So, I don't believe in adding toxic before the term masculinity or before the term femininity. There are just toxic people. I don't subscribe to this idea of toxic masculinity. There are toxic men, there are toxic women, there are toxic people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you disagree?
I do, because toxic masculinity is a term for the toxic men that utilize it.
Is there toxic femininity? Is that the thing?
Probably, but I wouldn't know what it constitutes. Like, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But
What-
toxic masculinity in like this example is when they're taught to like stray away from their emotions, like not express them, keep it to yourself. Like, you're a man, don't be a pussy, like hold it in, like don't cry. That's what I mean, and I feel like that's when we see it. Honestly, I think it's a root of like a lot of problems, including that, because they just don't know how to express their feelings, and a lot of stuff builds up, and then they get scared, like, oh, she might actually be a good girl, she might really heal me, but wait, like, no, I'm like not ready for that.
And I
You get what
think
I'm
that
saying?
and I think that is generational. Like from the very beginning of time, men were the warriors, the knights, the people fighting, and men or women were
The gatherers, the
dainty
nurturers.
gatherers, birth givers, all that stuff. And that really carries on because ideals and like ideals are passed down. Like, so your parents, obviously, who raise you, are going to put their ideas on you, and then it's like that effect.
But okay,
Snowball
so
effect.
I'm going to ask the table. So, do you guys believe in toxic masculinity? Just show of hands. Eric, if you want to just put it. Okay. Do you
I'm
guys
on the fence because of what you said.
Okay, so if you believe in toxic masculinity, then do you believe in toxic femininity?
Yes.
Show of hands again.
But how
I
do
mean,
you-
at least you guys are consistent, but I just reject this idea of putting toxic before a term in the same way that it would be like, it might be sexist to say toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. It would be like, geez, I don't want to get canceled. It would be pretty problematic to say like toxic. Fuck. It would be pretty bad to
can't
say toxic, for example, toxic whiteness or toxic blackness or toxic Jewishness. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, the idea that maleness itself needs to be pathologized and fixed, it's just like it seems a bit sexist.
I think the whole idea of men just kind of, be strong, don't cry, don't express your emotions, you're going to look soft.
That's
You're gonna-
toxic? You think that's
you're gonna-
toxic? I think that's desirable. Men should be strong.
But at the same time, it's like you're not allowed to,
Yeah.
your feelings are invalidated. You're not allowed to feel those things because you're a man.
No, but
And
yeah,
you can't-
I mean, I agree with you there. People don't care about how men feel.
Yeah, and I think
And
that needs to be
women,
changed.
just like that women in the video that we reacted to, when men, some of you might disagree, when men are honest, if they're open with their feelings, if they display emotion, women lose attraction for
No.
men like that. Not
That's
not
not
all
me.
not all
Yeah.
women. I'm not saying all women, but we had a woman on the Joe Rogan podcast just admit if her boyfriend got knocked out in a fight, she would lose attraction for him. So men are not open with their emotions. By the way, men and women, the way we display our emotions is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I feel like
Go ahead.
people should not, like, whether it's men or women, should not be taught to not be emotional, because, like,
what about, but stoicism? I think stoicism is a desirable trait
I would
in
rather
both men and women.
I would rather be shown how people feel, because like for example with my ex, he never told me what was wrong, never communicated with me, so I spent 95% of that relationship thinking he was going to break up with me, and he was mad at me when he was having his own personal issues and just refusing to communicate.
And that's the point that I was going to make is, you know, like men who have been invalidated, like their feelings have been invalidated, it translates to relationships. It makes you scared to communicate those things with women because you don't know how. You don't want to look too soft. You think that girls want you to be macho man who's super strong and, you know, it's just like stereotypical.
But in a relationship, it doesn't work unless you're both opening up, because
And
automatically I felt so much less comfortable opening up, because if he can't, then why should I? And so
Open up about what though?
anything. Like
Open up about what?
Like
okay.
if you're feeling something, if you're going through something, communicate it. Like don't just be dry and don't talk and act like you're no longer interested because you don't want to talk about it.
And it also, I'm sorry, it's also not so, like, if you don't want to communicate that, that's okay too, but it's also as simple as, I don't feel comfortable communicating that with you.
I mean, I will say, like, for most men, from our own experiences, the times when we are vulnerable in front of women lose attraction for us. We lose the women. I can think of a ton of situations where I was steadfast, I was stoic, and then like I cracked or something, not cracked, like I freaked out or something, but something happened and I shared that with a girl I was seeing. There's one girl there's been a couple girls this has happened to me too. I'm like, hey, I'm going through this. And then the dynamic immediately shifts in the relationship. She loses respect for me.
That's not the
really
case for
sorry.
everybody.
I'm not saying that's.
No,
I mean, maybe you guys are outliers, but I think a lot of men's experience when they are really vulnerable in front of a woman, like, would it be a turnoff if on the first date a guy cried in front of you?
No.
No.
Come
No.
on.
No.
It would be a
Yeah.
turnoff.
I think it would be, because that's the first date. Like we haven't
Third
even
date,
like established
even third date, a guy
connection.
cries in front of you. It's probably going to turn you off in some way. I've had experiences. Okay, I'll give you guys an experience. Almost exactly a year ago, I was attacked. It wasn't a fight. Like, I was attacked. I was jumped in the street. I was f***ed up. I was all bloodied up. Everything.
I'm sorry to hear.
It was bad. Luckily, we caught the guys, and well, that's for another time. But, and I had my girl that I was seeing at the time come over to like help to nurse me, and she came over, and I was all f***ed up. Like, my knee was all bloody. I was in pain. I was like, it was hard to walk and shit. And there was a palpable change we'd been seeing each other for a couple months. There was a palpable change in the relationship. Like, it was like before I was attacked and then after I was attacked. Like, it changed. When she saw me like all fucked up like that, it changed the relationship. She kind of lost a little bit of respect for me. We never argued. All of a sudden she's bickering about this and that. I'm like, I can't really articulate exactly how it changed, but it changed. And then I think within 2 months the relationship was over.
I feel like it almost.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like it can also really go both ways, though. I had a very like almost similar experience, not something that happened to me, but the guy that I was in a very long-term relationship with, like, you know, again, he was very stoic. Like, he never really like shared his emotions to me, like at least like deeper emotions that were like things like issues that he had maybe with like his mental health and things like that. One night he gets super drunk, opens up to me like about some really like dark like issues, and his whole thing is like apologizing to me, being like, I didn't want this to affect our relationship. I don't like you seeing this side of me. And I think honestly a part of that plays into toxic masculinity, because it's like he hadn't even like, he opened up to me and instantly he feels embarrassed
And
like
apologized.
just out of like how society feels, because obviously I was there, I was like trying to comfort him. I'm like, I'm so glad you opened up to me, because now I understand the issues you're going through. But in his mind, he kept like walking into the bathroom to like wipe his tears, being like, I'm fine, like you don't look at me like this. Like, he wouldn't look at me because in his mind, like a man shouldn't be able to show his emotions like that.
And-
So in your case, I can understand like maybe that was a turn off for her, but
but it's not for everybody.
It goes the other
Yeah,
way
sure.
too, where
And
yeah.
and also I think like now within our generation and the younger generations, like mental health is coming more into light and teachings. You know, I'm not sure if like, let's say you in high school got, you know, the mental health talk, or like you had outlets to reach out to. It was a little more taboo, you would say, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think so it sets like that ideals for like that age group. And so I think that's what is lost in like people of older age, is they're kind of taught like men are strong, men don't really show emotions, and that's just what they expect. And I think now with our generation, and I think as I see more when I talk to my friends, or even all you guys here, like it's okay to show your emotions, and when people like validate that, then that's where the change comes. And I think the dating pool now is, we'd rather you communicate and show your emotions. That way we can better understand you and there's no disconnect.
I feel like when there's no communication about like how you feel, it kind of turns into resentment and it just builds up, and it causes tension because you're going through so much and you can't talk to your significant other about it.
Exactly.
And if you're dating somebody, you have to trust them. That should be your person. You should trust them more than anything. So you should be able to talk to them, and if you feel like you can't, then that's not a healthy relationship.
And
in
that's
my
how
opinion.
it was with my ex too. Is like he started to resent me because now I know like things that he's too embarrassed to like share to other people, and he couldn't even trust like the person he was closest to because he's just embarrassed.
Well, to address your point, if a guy's stonewalling you, that's a different issue. If there's like a lack of communication and he's not communicating certain things, but opening up his emotions, like a guy can communicate with you and still be stoic and still communicate a desire, or if there's an issue in the relationship, he can still do it. But if guys just start sobbing to women about their problems, it's just, the reason a lot of guys don't do it is because they've had experiences that when they do, the women lose attraction for them. Or the other thing that often happens, when men open up to you, you use that shit later on in the relationship to like as some sort of tool in an argument. Like,
and I don't think any of us are saying that like that doesn't happen, because it definitely happens.
Definitely does.
There are shitty people, there are shitty women, there are shitty men. People are going to take advantage of you. But I think for a lot of people, just being able, like personally, I want my boyfriend to open up to me about his emotions, because if he doesn't, why am I going to open up to him? I don't want to cry to him if he doesn't feel like he can cry to me. I don't care about that. It doesn't make me less attracted to them because I want to be shown how he feels. If anything, it makes me more attracted to him because he can communicate properly and he feels comfortable sharing with me how he feels.
Personally, I've had an experience where a guy I was with at the time has like completely opened up and cried to me about like something going on in his life. And honestly, it almost probably made me like him more, just the fact that he could share that with me and doesn't share it with other people, even his like close guy friends. It was like, it was a really big thing to me, and it still is this day, even though we're not nearly like that anymore, you know? It's just like, it's something that, it's not even like a secret, but it's like a moment we shared.
Yeah, it's intimate.
It is intimate.
oh, okay. I wanted to come in here on something. I mean, that's great. That's great if it made you more attracted to him. There's definitely women that's the case, but it's like a toss-up. Like before we open up, we don't know if like this is just going to be the beginning of the end of the relationship, or if she's going to genuinely be there. I mean, my advice to men is, if you have a problem in your life, go tell your male friends, talk to your male friends. Don't bring it to your girl, like, just because you gotta be stoic. Like, that's how it is. So
you don't have to be.
You don't have
Yeah,
to be. You
there's-
can
That's
still be
the
a
thing
strong...
is like again, it's just you're reinforcing like that stereotype that man.
Yeah.
I'm
men need
reinforcing
to be-
toxic masculinity.
You can still be a strong man and show emotion.
Exactly.
No, and you're saying like, oh, go to your male friends about it. Like,
If
no,
anything,
you
I
should be
feel
able
like-
to trust your girlfriend enough to share your emotions with her.
If
Like,
anything, I feel
if
like your
she's the
girlfriend
most
can help
important
more.
to you as well, like keeping with what like traditional gender roles anyway. If your woman is the most important thing in your life, you should be able to go to her with your emotions.
It's certainly ideal. Sure, it's ideal, but like as a guy, you are kind of rolling the dice, because for some women, and even some women who say the things that you guys say at this table, you might be able to verbalize that, but deep down you could still, like you're saying, you could say the politically correct thing, oh baby, it's okay, I want you to open up. But when he does, something deep down, I'm not saying all women, but something deep down might still be like, you might be put off by it. And so also another thing is, men often don't share their feelings because they end up just upsetting their girlfriend, and then they're left to console their girlfriend on her feelings because of how his feelings made her feel.
Yeah. Honestly, though,
Try to wrap your mind around that one.
I feel like if that happens, then you're just better off without them anyways. And eventually some problem was going to come up and it wasn't going to work out. Because if you are the type of man that wants to communicate with your girl the way that you feel and she can't accept that, then she doesn't deserve you and you shouldn't be with her.
I agree.
Word.
Word.
That was your question, was it? Or whose question was that?
I was the last one to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about the toxic, who's talking about toxic masculinity?
I brought that up.
Yeah.
You brought that up. Okay, so you were riffing off of her thing. Okay. Can I challenge you guys to potentially change your thought process on this? Would you consider, instead of using the term toxic masculinity, would you consider just using the term toxic
Toxicity.
or toxicity?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
In lieu of, I don't know, I just feel like it's pointlessly gendering something. But
Yeah.
Yeah, because if we're going to say that there's toxic masculinity and toxic femininity,
may as well
then
just
might
call it
may as well
toxicity.
just umbrella
Yeah.
it and say
Yeah. It doesn't need to be
toxicity or
treated as
toxic, or
two
just-
separate things.
yeah.
Yeah.
or someone is being toxic,
Yeah.
whether they're male. And that's why I wanted to say that I didn't shoot my hand up, because what you said was actually really impactful, and I liked what you said there, because
Well, thank you.
if you think that there are toxic men, you have to also believe that there are toxic women. It's
Yeah, of
because
course.
there are. It's not. There's no one gender that's going to be better than the other. So if there's going to be toxicness in all genders, then just don't even
Separate it.
separate it. Yes.
I literally just got yapping about my opinion and my views to this video in the last couple of minutes, and I didn't know that my mic wasn't recording. That is so bad. And now I feel like I've lost my train of thought. But basically, all I think that what I was saying is, it's quite shocking to see, or rather to realize, that these ladies think that being stoic and just, being less in touch with your emotions is the definition of a toxic person. And they also thinking that being toxic comes with being a male. Like, they are literally associating a personality with a gender, which isn't the fact, because I understand the interviewer who's saying you don't necessarily have to put toxic before you put masculinity, because an individual, a male who is toxic isn't toxic because he's a male. He is toxic because he is a toxic individual. And even if he was a female, he would still be toxic because that is who he is. So if we're saying that toxic masculinity is a term that has been confirmed and all of that, then there should also be toxic when we're talking about females. I mean, we're all about like equality, right? I mean, it's to a large extent, if you do look at things, men are actually going through a lot, like men are actually going through a lot, because it's just like you can never find a balance, right? If you are in touch with your emotions, you're seen as a weakling, you're seen as feminine, you're seen as just weird. And then if you're in touch with your emotions, and then if you're not in touch with your emotions, certain people, like those females in this video, could identify you as toxic. Though that doesn't, in my opinion, that isn't what toxic means. But bear in mind that you could be tagged toxic because you're not in touch with your emotions. So in that instance, what do? There's no level ground, so I'm just gonna say, just do you, be you. I mean, it's really a bummer that I lost the audio to the previous video, but if I do remember all I had to say, I think I want to put it down. But nonetheless, it was quite interesting, seeing 6 ladies. I think there were six ladies against one man. Yeah, I'm talking about toxic masculinity. Like what an irony. But basically, it was quite enlightening just to listen to these ladies. And I just want to say out there, if you are a female and you actually think that toxic masculinity has to do with the gender, I really don't think so. I don't have like the written facts on it, but I mean, just thinking about it, it doesn't, because there are females who are toxic. And that's why I said that men go through a lot, because in a case where everyone feels like toxic masculinity is a term, and then there's a toxic female, and she's being toxic to a man, she's she's not gonna get any consequence for that action because she's a female, and females are not meant to be toxic because it's something that comes with being a man. So it's a lot, to be honest. So there's no level ground. At the end of the day, we should all just be who we are, because if you're a man and you're too emotional, you'll be tagged, oh, well, from my consensus, right? If you're a man and you're too emotional, you're going to be tagged a weakling, you're going to be tagged feminine, and then if you're stoic, you're going to be tagged toxic. Or in actual facts, they're going to say, oh, you're not close, you're not in touch with your emotions, I can't do da 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 da. It's just a whole lot, okay? So this saying, you really cannot please everyone, you truly cannot please everyone, because I don't think any individual has the human capability of pleasing every human. Okay, so nonetheless, we did get into this, even though it was a bummer. I did miss my audio. I would still love to get to know what you guys think about this. Do engagement down in the comment box. It's very important, because I do read y'all's comments, and I'll just love for us to put our heads together and know what y'all thinking about this. Okay, so let us know in the comment section. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, this is the time to subscribe if you know that you do enjoy videos as such. And if you definitely enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, because it does help my channel and my videos basically. Okay, so on to the very next one, people. Let us keep on staying safe and healthy. Bye.